Welcome to this wisdom-filled episode of Heroes Gate Elementary. I'm Patrick and I'll be your host. Have you ever wondered whether you're better at making wise or unwise choices? I mean, I definitely have wondered that. And I also have met some people who think they're wiser than they really are when they're really just wise guys, right? So today you get a chance to find out if you're good at understanding and making wise or unwise choices, because the link asks about these next choices. Are they wise or unwise? Check it out. Now, I'm going to read the choices that have been made. You need to decide whether you think a choice is wise. Put your thumbs up for that. Or if you think it's unwise choice, then you put your thumbs down. Rather than admit that he broke the handle off the fridge, Greg lies about it and he points the blame to his brother instead. When she sees a new kid at school looking sad and lonely, Rebecca decides to ask her to come and play with her at recess. Matthew got mad at his brother and he called him a mean name. He tells his brother he's sorry and asks him to forgive him. There's a substitute teacher in Sam's class, and her classmates are acting really disrespectfully toward the teacher. So she joins in and plays thumb wrestling with her neighbor. Sarah and Ryan are playing a racing video game when Ryan accidentally hits reset and the game starts over. Sarah gets mad at him, claiming he did it on purpose because he was losing. I hope you were able to figure out which choices were wise and which ones were unwise. Now, today's story is about someone who was known as being very wise. In fact, besides Jesus, he was known as being the wisest person the world has ever known.
You mean me, of course.
What are you talking about? I was just going to start the Bible story.
I heard that, but I don't get how I factor into this story. I mean, I wasn't even created or programmed yet when the Bible stuff happened.
Okay, what are you talking about?
You said today's story was about the wisest person the world has ever known aside from Jesus. So here I am.
Okay, I wasn't talking about you.
Of course you were. I am very, very, very wise.
Okay, I'm sure you are, but I'm afraid this guy still has you beat.
And how do you know that? How do you know he was wiser than me?
Because God said so?
He did win.
Why don't you let me tell today's Bible story and you'll find out?
Okay, but I am still not convinced that he is wiser than me.
Take a look at God's big amazing story, or the Bible. Our story takes place shortly after David became king of Israel.
His son Solomon became king after him. But Solomon knew he had some mighty big shoes to fill. After all, King David had been a great king who for the most part had followed God with all of his heart.
So the guy had a lot to live up to. Big deal. That doesn't mean he was the wisest king ever.
No, and Solomon knew that. He realized in order to lead the people and his country to the best of his abilities, he would need God's help. Even though he'd brought up in the palace and had learned firsthand from his father how to rule wisely, he still knew he had a lot more to learn.
But if he had a lot more to learn, doesn't that automatically mean he wasn't the wisest to begin with? I mean, if someone put me in charge of a country, I would be really, really good at it all on my own. I wouldn't have to learn anything.
Okay, really? You would know how to rule the people fairly and rightly and would know exactly what to do in any and every situation?
Well, you can't. Okay, fine. Maybe I wouldn't have been the perfect leader, but I still think I would have done a pretty swell job.
But there might have been a few things that would have been useful to learn, right? One night, while Solomon was sleeping, he had a dream, a vision from God. And in it, the Lord came to him and said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you."
Really? God offered to give Solomon anything he asked for?
Yep.
What did he ask for? No, wait, let me guess. An invisibility machine.
No.
All the money and the jewels in the world?
No, that's wrong again.
I know. Oh, an all-powerful robot army that would totally defeat his enemies with a megawatt laser cannon.
Not even close.
Well, then what did he ask for?
Wisdom.
Wisdom? Really? He could ask for anything in the whole world from God himself, and he picked wisdom? That does not compute.
Yes, he told God,
You've shown such great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in heart. You have continued this great kindness to him and have given him a son to sit on this throne.
Huh?
Solomon's talking about himself. God had blessed David and had been with him, and he'd given him a son, Solomon, who would be king after him.
Oh, I get it. Please carry on.
Solomon then said,
But I'm only a young man,
now, he would have been around 20 when he became king, and he continues,
and I don't know how to be the best king I can be all on my own. And I have a lot of people to rule, people you love very much, and I want to make sure I do a good job of it. So I ask God that you would give me an understanding and wise heart, one that can rule over your people well and know what's right and wrong.
I think I have this computed. So instead of asking for power or money or really cool stuff, Solomon asked God for help to be a good and wise king. Interesting.
exactly, and God was really pleased with what he heard. He answered, "Since you have asked for wisdom and not for long life or money or to defeat your enemies, I will do what you have asked and give you such a wise heart that there will never be anyone like you. No one before or after will be as wise."
Wait, what about Jesus? Wouldn't he still be wiser than Solomon?
Well, yes, Jesus really is the wisest person the world has ever known, but you can't really compare him with Solomon. Because if you remember, Solomon's just a human being, but Jesus was God's own son. So, of course, he's going to be wiser than Solomon.
I've got it. So, Jesus and God are the ultimate in wisdom, but they shared a bunch of that wisdom with Solomon so that he could be a really good king.
Yep, but God didn't stop there. He then said to Solomon, "Because you did not ask for wealth or power, but were humble and asked for wisdom to rule your people, I will not only give you that great wisdom, but I will also give you great amounts of money and power. No other king during your time will have the kind of money you will have. And if you listen well to me and follow my ways just like your father David, I will also give you a long life."
Whoa, great flying fruitcakes with whipped cream. I see Solomon got more, a whole lot more than he asked for. He got not only wisdom, but power, fame, and money.
God was rewarding him for his humbleness, meaning Solomon wasn't trying to just get stuff for himself. Solomon knew that even though he was king, it still wasn't the most important thing in his life. He had a heart that wanted to serve God and the people, rather than trying to just become famous or to build up a lot of money and power for himself.
Wow, this Solomon guy was really humble and wise, even before God gave him more wisdom. He was wise enough to see, even from the get-go, what it is a good king really needs. It is not money or power or fame. It is wisdom and humility.
And God kept his promise to Solomon. He gave Solomon such wisdom that people came from all over, from other countries, to hear about what he had to say and what he was teaching about. And before long, Solomon used his wisdom to build a beautiful and huge and grand temple, like a church, that people could come and worship God. And God also kept his promise that Solomon would be wealthier than any other king of the time. His treasury was filled up with precious things like gold and silver and jewelry and diamonds. Unfortunately, Solomon didn't always continue to listen to God's wisdom when it came to following him with all his heart later in his life. And he ended up not obeying God like his father David had. Still, overall, Solomon was a really good king, and he was still known as the wisest man in the world.
Okay, I guess I see now that Solomon was probably a little bit wiser than me. I mean, if God came and told him I could have anything I wanted from him, I'm pretty sure I would not have asked for wisdom. I would have probably asked for stuff for myself, like money or a time machine or a spaceship or a...
Okay, I think we get the picture. Now, like Solomon, God wants to give us wise hearts too. Now, each day he wants to help us make wise and humble choices that will help us draw closer to him and also to help show his love to other people.
Have you heard the news? What news? Well, I heard that this Jesus fellow can give you a lot of wisdom. I don't buy that for 1 second. Well, you should. Like it says in James 1:5, if any of you need wisdom, he will give it to you. God gives freely to everyone and doesn't find fault. Wow, I should try it. Hey God, can I have some wisdom? Wow, thank you.
God wants to give us wise hearts. I like that. I mean, if God would also want to give me a time machine, that would be good. But I guess wise hearts are probably a better thing in the long run.
They definitely are, but you don't just get a wise heart by doing whatever you want. You have to go humbly before God, just as Solomon did, and you ask God to make you wise. And then you actually have to listen to the wisdom, to that wisdom when you're making a decision.
I think I see what you're getting at. So if I ask God to give me a wise heart so I can follow and show others his love, then I shouldn't ignore that wisdom. An example, if a friend and I are having an argument and I feel like God is telling me the wise thing to do is to go say I am sorry to that friend, I should even ignore the selfish part of me that does not want to.
Well, exactly. And that's what having a wise and humble heart is all about. God wants to give us wise hearts, but it's up to us to use that wisdom to follow him and to help others to know his love. Your home challenge mission is this: wise or unwise choices. You get to play this game at home. Whenever you find yourself in a situation or in a moment where you need to figure out what choice you're going to make next, just pause for a moment and just kind of think about it. Is it going to be a wise or unwise choice? If you're not sure, ask somebody you know. It could ask God, you could ask a parent, you can ask someone you trust and see what they think. Now, the more you do this and get in the habit of stopping and trying to check your choices to make sure they're wise or unwise, you're just going to get better and better at making wise choices and less of the unwise ones.
Thank you, Patrick, for helping me learn about what true wisdom looks like and where we can find it when we need it. And that Mateo, he did a wonderful job with that Bible verse video. Wow.
Well, thank you for being a part of today's Bible story on Solomon. I really appreciate how you helped us learn through your example.
Shucks, it was my pleasure.
And I want to thank all of you for being here today and invite you to be a part of the next episode. I also want to thank freebibleimages.org for those wonderful illustrations. Now, just remember in the meantime, God wants to give you a wise heart. We'll see you soon.